Ich werde jetzt auf Go Live drücken. A warm welcome to the universe of SAP BTP in a nutshell. Our series covers 20 episodes altogether. And just to inform you, the customer session was postponed due to technical difficulties. So you still have the chance on September 5 to join us. I will share the link later. But let us come to today's session. SAP Integration Solution Advisory Methodology. So today's Katrin van Asen, Chief Product Expert for the Intelligent Enterprise Technology, will share how the Integration Solution Advisory Methodology allows you to define and execute an enterprise integration strategy, meeting current and future integration requirements. But before I hand over, I would like to share with you the upcoming events. In 2 weeks, we will have What's New in SAP BTP, July 18th at 4 o'clock CEST or 10 EDT. And I would like to give you a heads up that we will have 2 sessions on writing testable code for ABAP. In the morning, our time is on September 5th, and in the afternoon on September 7th. And in addition, tomorrow we will have episode 7 of the Garage series. Topic is Extend SAP S/4HANA with SAP Process Automation. And as usual, the various practitioner forums, there is Stream Personas, SAP Fiori, Business Technology Platform, and Build Process Automation. And with this, I would like to hand over to my colleague, Katrin van Asen. Over to you, Katrin.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction, Tanja. It's really a pleasure for me to present to all of you our methodology. So let me start with the presentation and the deck. So can you see it, Tanja?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's get started. So first of all, welcome from my side to you. Good morning, good afternoon. I would like to walk you through the SAP Integration Solution Advisory Methodology. That's a technology domain-specific methodology which SAP offers, which helps you actually to shape and execute an enterprise integration strategy. Before diving into the details of the session, let's take a quick look at the agenda. So first, I will start with a motivation. So why integration is essential and why a methodology can help you to actually take also business advantage out of that. Then I will walk you through the methodology as such, through the different phases, and will also show you some examples about the concepts related to that. Then we will continue with the integration assessment capability within SAP Integration Suite. So you might wonder how the two things fit together. So the integration assessment capability is a tool-based approach of the SAP Integration Solution Advisory Methodology, or in short, simply ISAM. And here I would like to show you actually the scope of the solution, and also would like to walk you through a demo step by step. Then I would like to wrap the session up with key takeaways, and then we can actually run through your questions. If you have some questions in between, feel free to use the chat functionality or the Create tool here and post your questions. And at the end, we will pick them up and answer all of your questions. So let's get started with the motivation. So integration is actually seen as a business priority of most organizations. So according to the results of a survey of ESG study from last year, its integration is really a top 5 business priority for the vast majority of organization within the next course of the next year and the following year. And actually, these initiatives are driven and backed up by the CIO of these organizations. So this applies actually to 96% of today's organizations. So here you see actually that integration is really seen as a high priority topics for most organizations. However, the drawback of that is that just a low percentage, so just 27% of these organizations report that they have a mature enterprise integration practice in place. So there is really a challenge to follow up all on these integration requirements and to cope with the scope of integration. So let's take a look at the scope of integration. So here, that's actually the situation, what we see in today's enterprises, that the hybrid landscapes are fastly evolving, right? So you have a mix of different applications from different vendors, lots of new technologies arising out of lots of initiatives driven by the business. So here you might look at hybrid cloud solutions, a big data initiative, artificial intelligence, data lakes, and so on. And all these new initiatives and projects come along quite often with new kinds of integration requirements. Therefore, it's pretty challenging for today's integration architects to actually shape the future integration architecture, which can tackle both the current integration requirements and also the future ones, which will come along with these new technologies and applications. The next challenge is actually to form a kind of hybrid integration platform. So that's typically a combination of existing integration technology and new complementing integration technologies to address the new integration requirements. Then with the rising scope of integration and virality, it's really also challenging to take care that all these integrations are implemented in a consistent manner, meeting actually defined standards. So here actually the topic of integration governance is very important to that. Last but not least, you need actually to have an agile integration practice in place and also take care of enablement activities, because with the rising scope and amount of integration, you need also to skill up your employees. For instance, in the lines of businesses where you have actually also so-called citizen integrators in place, that these can also implement integrations within a certain defined scope. And all these has been need to be considered in a customer context. So for instance, other influencing factors needs to be acknowledged when thinking of these concepts, like the overarching enterprise architecture strategy, existing investments, skill sets, and also commercial aspects. So in order to help you to tackle this integration, SAP is heavily investing into integration, and that's being described in the SAP Integration Strategy paper, Integrate to Innovate. This paper outlines SAP's integration highlights and also the roadmap of planned integration deliveries. Here, SAP follows a holistic integration approach, looking at an end-to-end business process integration with the help of so-called suite qualities. So these are technology services of the SAP Business Technology Platform, which are consistently applied along these end-to-end business processes, which span across SAP solutions. To name just a few, we are looking at, for instance, aligned domain models and integration content, a seamless user experience, reference architectures, coordinated lifecycle management, and more. All is backed up with AI solutions and a mobile experience to help you, for instance, to consume also AI-empowered end-to-end business processes. Furthermore, an integration methodology and services is also part of this strategy, and that will be the focus of today's session. The last section of the paper covers actually the path and outlines the path, how to get there, how you can transform your business processes with the help of RISE with SAP. But now let's take a closer look at this integration methodology, which is the SAP Integration Solution Advisory methodology, or in short, simply ISAM. So ISAM has been actually is a technology agnostic framework which helps you and SAP customers and partners to define and execute an enterprise integration strategy. For this purpose, the framework delivers accelerators like adaptable integration use case patterns, integration best practices, architecture blueprints, and also covers the organizational aspects of enterprise integration. So the methodology is not limited to technology related aspects. Furthermore, the methodology covers all integration dimensions in today's hybrid environments. This means it covers applications from SAP and also third-party applications. A mix of technologies from different vendors can be also applied to that, and also covers actually where you are today in your journey, likely from a diverse background of applications and technologies on your way towards the cloud or different deployment options. It's worth to mention that the methodology is an open vendor-agnostic framework. This means the basic concept of the methodology can be applied also to technologies and applications from other vendors. However, when it comes to examples, we always refer here to the SAP technologies and applications to that. But now let's take a look actually how to apply the methodology. So here the methodology is structured along 4 steps to take, or 4 phases. And that's really nice because you can actually apply it in a stepwise fashion. And it helps you to change from a non-systematic integration approach towards a systematic ones, starting with an assessment of your integration strategy. So here the framework provides you with a guiding scoping approach of your integration requirements. The next step to take is then to design your hybrid integration platform. So here we have also accelerators in place which help you to apply proven patterns for the various integration styles, for instance, for process data, user integration along hybrid environments. The third phase of the methodology looks at integration best practices. So here we provide you with predefined architecture blueprints and further best practices which you can adapt according to your needs. And last but not least, we look at the organizational dimension at enterprise integration, because the best defined integration strategy doesn't help if your teams are not executing on that. So here we look, for instance, at the organizational setup and processes related to enterprise integration. The nice thing is that the methodology follows a modular approach, right? So that means you don't need to walk through the entire methodology from the start until the end. So it's really a stepwise approach. And you have also the option to focus on specific domains to start with and to grow the scope over time. So now let's take a look at the offerings we have in place for our methodology. So here we have 2 approaches how to apply the methodology. The first one, it's a templates-based approach. So here we offer a set of templates which are available for free. So it's a combination of PowerPoints, documents, Excel spreadsheets, which are related to the steps of the methodology and can easily be applied. So it's ideal to start using these templates for sketching your integration strategy and to define the high-level picture and the guardrails of the entire integration strategy framework. Then actually last year we released a tool-based approach for the methodology, which addresses actually the key parts of ISAM, which is the integration assessment capability within SAP Integration Suite. And this really helps to turn your defined integration strategy into the reality. So here you can actually further fine-tune your guidance and your rules to follow up on, and also track the implementation and adherence according to defined standards. I will come to more details on integration assessment later during the session. Now I would like to take the opportunity and walk you through the steps or through the phases of the of ISAM. So here I will walk you one by one through the phases, and each phase is subdivided into 3 steps to take. I will give a brief overview of the steps, and then we will look at 1 step per phase in more detail so that you get a better understanding of the concepts of ISAM. So now let's start with the first phase. This is the assessment of your integration strategy. So before making a great plan where you would like to head to, you need to actually look back where you're coming from and also revisit your current integration strategy. And for this purpose, the methodology provides a scoping approach, starting from a top-level perspective and going then stepwise into the details to actually analyze the scope of integration requirements of your current and future integration needs. This is done with the help of a use case-driven approach, which is applied in a technology agnostic fashion. A question is actually often raised by customers, what are the drivers for performing such an integration strategy assessment? So there are actually many reasons. A very prominent one for sure is a transition towards SAP S/4HANA. So depending on your strategy, whether you go with RISE for SAP, you start a new implementation, it's always required to look actually how to best support this journey from an integration perspective. And that's a driver for performing such an integration strategy assessment. Quite often, there is also a need to cover new integration patterns actually arising out of digital strategies, right? For instance, the new strategies being requested by the business, for instance, the adoptions of generative AI solutions, the need to support big data transformation projects and so on. So that are also good opportunities to revisit the current integration strategy if these would also support the new requirements. Then often there's a desire also to standardize the integration, right? To consolidate the zoo of different integration technologies which grow over time in an organization, and to streamline the use of these technologies in an efficient manner with the help of integration governance. So let's take a look at the 3 steps to take. So first, to start with the scoping of the integration domains, which are relevant for your organization. So this is really a high-level scoping, looking at the different integration areas in today's hybrid environments. For instance, if you need to support cloud-to-cloud integration scenarios, or so-called hybrid integration scenarios of the where you're integrating cloud applications with on-premise applications, and depending on your business background and your strategy, if there's a need, for instance, to also integrate with user-centric applications or with real physical things, as you have with the Internet of Things. So depending on these requirements, you can also already perform the first level of scoping by selecting the integration domains which are relevant for your organization as of today and midterm. The next level of detailing is then to perform a scoping on the level of integration styles. So integration styles are the archetypes of enterprise integration and describe actually the integration touch points with business applications. So I will come to that in more detail in a second. And the third step to take is then to perform a scoping on the level of use case patterns. So use case patterns are, again, vendor-agnostically defined, like application-to-application integration, business-to-business integration, which come all with their own technology requirements, which need to be met by the respective integration technologies. Let's take a look at the second step, how to perform a scoping of integration styles. On the left side, you see actually the different integration styles here with the color-coded boxes like process integration, data, user analytics, and thing integration. So these describe the typical archetypes of enterprise integration and describe actually how they are integrating and exchanging data with business applications. For this purpose, the methodology provides you with decision criteria and characteristics, which helps you to determine which integration styles are relevant for your organization. In addition to the integration styles, we have the so-called cross-use cases. So these are use cases which can be applied to more than one integration style. An example of such a cross-use case is, for instance, API managed integration, which can be applied, for instance, for user-centric integration scenarios, for instance, to govern access towards respective API calls, and process integration, for instance, to perform API monetization and metering. Moving on to the second phase of ISAM, that's the design of your hybrid integration platform. In the phase before, you have actually defined the scope of integration requirements, right? What kind of styles and use case patterns you need to support. Now it's time to map those use case patterns to the respective integration technologies. So here, this can be done towards SAP and also towards third-party integration technologies. There's no one-fits-all approach in place. So here, when performing such kind of mappings, you need to reflect your respective customer context factors, which influence the decision which integration technology to choose. This is, again, for instance, existing investments, commercial aspects, the future application landscape, which is also influenced by the overarching enterprise architecture strategy. So what are the steps to take for designing a hybrid integration platform? First, you perform the technology mapping. The second step is then to define integration policies. Integration policies are rules, deciding factors about when to use which integration technologies. What are the generally recommended technologies for specific use case patterns? What are reasonable alternative options? And which are actually technologies which are to be avoided in future? And the third step to take is the interface assessment. So that's actually when you're looking at a specific integration scenario, you need to go on the level of the respective interfaces to decomposition your integration scenarios up to the level of interfaces. And based on that, determine the right integration technologies with the help of selection criteria provided, for instance, with our methodology. Let's take a look at this technology mapping. So how is it performed? So here you have performed the scoping before of the integration styles and use case patterns, which are relevant for your organization. The next step is to map these to the respective integration technologies. As you can see here with this illustration, there is no one-to-one mapping. That means for specific integration use case patterns, you might require more than one integration technology. And in turn, an integration technology may support more than one integration use case pattern. To give you an example, I would like to refer to SAP Integration Suite, which is an integration platform as a service solution. This comes along with capabilities like cloud integration, API management, trading partner management, which supports actually several integration use case patterns. For instance, application to application integration, master data integration, business partner integration, just to name a few. Yeah, and here we have an example of such an technology mapping in an SAP context. When looking at the integration style of process integration, here the recommended solution would be SAP Integration Suite for cloud and hybrid integration scenarios, which has the suite or the value add of prepackaged integration content to implement and integrate SAP and also third-party applications. The key characteristics for choosing these technologies is, for instance, the support of the specific integration use case patterns and also an API-based integration approach and near real-time processing of a business document based on messages and ensuring also transactional process integrity. Moving on to the third phase of the methodology, this is to define integration best practices. So in the previous phase, you have defined the scope of your integration technologies forming your hybrid integration platform. Now you need to educate your integration developers about how to implement these integration technologies in a consistent and recommended fashion. So the objectives here of this phase is to govern and safeguard the implementation of integrations across your organization. So here you might look also at decentral development teams, at system integrators, freelancers, and so on, where you have actually need to find, which need to agree and buy into defined integration best practices to adhere to. Here, the approach is to build on vendor-agnostic and also product-specific integration best practices, which you can enrich with your own customer-specific aspects, like internal processes, naming conventions, and so on. It's recommended to offer high-level guardrails for your integration developers so that all know and understand easily the direction of enterprise integration, which is backed up with the detailed guidance for integration development teams. The 3 steps to take is first to define integration do's and don'ts. So these are the high-level integration guardrails for your developers. So here it's recommended to really focus on the most important aspects. So in total, not more than 10 recommendations to adhere to that everybody understands and can be applied and adhered to in different contexts. The second step is to create architecture blueprints. So these describe actually the use of different integration technologies in orchestration and how these integrate and exchange data with business applications. And the third step is actually to come up with detailed and tailored development guidelines. Let's take a look at the architecture blueprints in detail. So the methodology provides you here with a concept for creating such kind of architecture diagrams, also including selection criteria, which you can see here on the left-hand side. So characteristics which help your integration developers to identify the right architecture blueprint for a specific requirement. It's recommended to define these architecture blueprints on the level of integration domains. So for instance, for cloud-to-cloud scenarios, for hybrid integration scenarios, in conjunction with the integration use case patterns. So here I'm referring to the cross use case digital integration hub. Then it's recommended to also provide complementing information here. We have a simple to fill out information sheet where you list the components involved and also guidance about when to apply this architecture blueprint and how to apply it. For instance, referring to tutorials and also to missions at SAP Discovery Center. Another example here from the integration best practices for an example of vendor-agnostic best practices. Here the methodology also gives guidance about which type of technology to choose for specific requirements. So here we have an example about when to use API management capability and cloud integration capability. So you can see that both have their strengths in certain areas, but there's also a gray zone. Like structure mapping and protocol adaptations where you can leverage either the one or the other. And this overview can give you some guidance. So depending on your priorities and characteristics and capabilities you require for your integration scenario, to either choose one or the other or a combination of both for your specific integration needs. The last phase is looking here at the organizational dimension of enterprise integration and is aiming at enabling a practice of empowerment. So the objective is really to position integration as a strategic differentiator and to establish a knowledge sharing culture across your organization. How to tackle actually and how to enable such kind of an agile integration practice. So here some examples are, for instance, to set up an integration center of excellence, which takes care of enabling the decentralized development team, to coach them, to assist them on a need basis, and also to define areas for self-service integrations where actually also lines of business users can implement integration scenarios within their own scope of responsibility based on agreed standards. Here for this phase, we have also defined 3 phases, steps to take. The first one is to look at the organizational structure. Here we have defined common integration roles and also with example tasks in SAP context, like the integration architect, API developer, a citizen integrator, just to name a few. The next step is to introduce integration governance. It's a very important aspect, right, which helps you actually to turn your defined integration strategy into reality. And the last one is integration quality assurance. So everybody has kinds of QA practice in place, but here we have some complementing aspects like an integration quality checklist, which may help you to improve the quality of your integrations moving forward. And now let's take a closer look at the second step of this phase. It's to introduce integration governance, and that's where especially the integration assessment capability within SAP Integration Suite adds value to. So that's actually a tool-based approach for the methodology, and comes also with SAP integration technology recommendations, which helps you actually to kickstart your integration governance practice. So here you can also adapt here the content according to your own needs. The solution also includes a proposal service. So here, based on your requirements, which you specify in the tool, integration assessment can comes up with a proposal of integration technologies with the best fit according to the specified requirements. All these concepts are based on the on ISAM, and it goes hand in hand actually with the template-based approach. Integration assessment is a capability of SAP Integration Suite and is available as part of the standard and premium editions and CPA. and you can easily find it on the homepage here of Integration Suite and activate and use this capability at no additional costs. And that's actually the segue to the next agenda item, to look at integration assessment in more detail. So here, the objective is actually to automate the integration governance process within your organization. And this is actually illustrated here, how it actually such a process is being performed. It starts with a business domain expert who requires an integrations scenario, and for this purpose specifies the integration requirements from a business perspective. This is then handed over to the integration developer, and this person needs to determine here the right integration technology for the specified needs. And that's actually the value of ISAM, where you can actually apply the concepts of integration domains, styles, and use case patterns to identify the right integration technology and also to implement it in a consistent fashion. If there is an integration technology in place which meets the requirements, then you can go ahead and implement it either by an integration developer. And for simple scenarios, it can also be implemented by a lines of business user. If there is no right integration technology in place, you can reach out to the integration architects of the Integration Center of Excellence team, which can assist you with identifying the right solution. And now let's move on and take a look how to work with integration assessment. The tool also improves the collaboration between the various personas within your integration practice, starting with an integration architect. This person can actually adapt the ISAM settings, which are pre-delivered by SAP, to customer needs, right? Like to adapt the integration styles, patterns, and domains, for instance, to remove the ones which are not needed for this enterprise. Then actually a task to perform is to configure the landscape information. For instance, what kind of business applications are in use, what integration technologies you have. The next step is then performed by the business domain expert. This person creates a so-called business solution request. Here, the integration requirements are specified from a business perspective. For instance, the source and target applications are being described and selected. Also, business-related aspects like the business criticality of the integration scenarios, the desired go-live date is documented in the tool. Once done, this request is being handed over to an integration developer. The integration developer can translate the solution request into a technical interface request. Here, the integration requirements are further detailed out. For this purpose, questionnaires are being provided where the integration developer is being walked through the questions step by step. And based on the selected answer options, the solution can actually propose the integration technology or a combination of integration technologies with the best fit to the specified integration requirements. Finally, the integration developer makes a technology selection, either goes ahead with the technology proposal, or he or she can also overrule the proposed technology recommendation and make his or her own decision, which is also documented in the tool. The benefit of using integration assessment is also that you can gain insights into your integration landscape over time. So you get an overview about how your applications are being interconnected using which technologies across the different integration technologies and vendors. With that, I would like now to take the opportunity and walk you through a demo of integration assessment. So first I need to log into integration assessment. So please give me a sec and I will change in full screen mode. So that is now here the landing page of integration assessment, where you have here the different phases: request, analyze, configure, and settings. And settings is the section where you can find the predefined ISAM master data. For instance, the defined integration styles and the defined integration use case patterns, which are used to determine actually the integration technology with the best fit. Here you also have the different characteristics which are important for making a technology selection, right? For instance, here characteristics like from data integration domain and also from the process integration style. So these are here predefined and maintained by SAP. But you have always the option to create your own characteristics and your own characteristic questionnaires to meet your customer specific needs. Then we have here also a section where you maintain the information, like which applications you're using and the integration technologies. And here you can, for instance, also see how the different integration technologies this are being utilized and are classified according to the concepts of ISAM. Here for each SAP integration technology, we have described which domains are being supported, which integration styles, and also what kind of integration key characteristics are being supported to which degree. And this is actually the information which is later being used for making these technology proposals. So let me walk you through an example of end-to-end, where first a business user starts to create a business solution request. So here, the first one is to specify here the integration requirements from a business perspective. So I would like to get some purchase orders. So the mass transaction data are purchase orders. I can specify to which business process this integration belongs to. I can specify the go live date. And also here, for instance, the criticality. So this is also freely configurable. If you have other aspects and criteria to consider, you can configure here the input fields according to your needs. The next step is then to define the source and the receiving applications, right? So here I have here my landscape information where I would like to have the data from SAP Sales Cloud, and I would like as receiving application here SAP S/4HANA. And with that, I have already maintained here the needed information from a business point of view. And with that, I submit here the request to an integration developer. Okay, 1 sec. The integration developer picks up this request and performs here a requirement analysis. And now the developer is walked through a questionnaire. The first question is about which integration use case pattern I would like to implement. So if as I'm dealing with purchase order, it's a classical A-to-A integration scenario. Next question is about the level of transformation which I require for my scenario. So I think I need some simple transformations like mappings. And here are some other kind of questions related to that. If I would like to leverage predefined integrations, oh yeah, that's a good idea. If I would like to have some B2B capabilities, no, I don't need that for this scenario. And I can also look up here integration content at the API Accelerator Hub. So here I can look for purchase order if there are any kind of predefined content or integration flows or APIs in place. And I see there is one in place fitting to the source application. It's to get here purchase orders, which I can attach to the interface request. Then I need also to answer some further questions, so I will quickly walk through that. It's not that relevant as of now. And the last one is about monitoring. If I would like that business users can monitoring the integration scenarios, oh yeah, I think that's a good idea. And how to deal with technical errors if receivers should be notified. That's also a good idea. And with that, I'm done with the scenario and I can go to the technology selection. And based on these selected answers, the solution proposes here a combination of integration technologies. So as you can see, I can achieve 100% coverage of my requirements when using application interface framework and cloud integration together. And I can also see here what kind of characteristics or requirements are met by which technologies. For instance, application interface framework is very good in error handling and also monitoring and operations. And other aspects like connectivity and transformations are being met by cloud integration. Okay, so here I submit. I select here the technologies, select the respective instances. I also see here the integration policies, which are defined for using these solutions, and submit the request. And with that, I've completed the interface request and start with the implementation. Okay, moving back to the presentation. So what's actually the value of using integration assessment? So here, it's definitely that it helps to educate IT staff about integration solution, and it helps you to standardize your integrations and APIs. So that, in an essence, is the main driver of reducing integration implementation timelines, according to a survey performed by ASAC and SAP recently. Okay, with that, I would like to wrap up the session with the key takeaways. So what we have covered actually with the help of the methodology, you can actually manage the life cycle of your integrations from strategy to development. The SAP integration strategy, as outlined at the beginning, aims at delivering an end-to-end business process integration along SAP solutions. And for everything beyond that, how to deal with legacy applications, with custom integration scenarios, with third-party integrations, you can apply the ISA methodology, which helps you to define a holistic enterprise integration strategy for your organization. And integration assessment is key to help you to turn your enterprise integration strategy into reality. Yeah, having said that, I'm done with the session and I would like to open up for question and answers. Tanya, do we have any questions in the chat?
Currently, we don't have any questions in the chat. I would like, while we're waiting for any questions, to ask what the user group members keep on asking us. What do other companies actually do?
Yeah, that's really a good question, right? Methodology is actually a bit of theory, right? It's hard to grasp and understand here the actual benefits out of that. But here we see actually that customers really like the modular approach. It's not an over-engineered complex methodology. So you can start really pretty simple and grow over time. And it really helps you to get a clear picture on where you are and where you're actually heading to. And that's actually the great benefit out of that. The second aspect, which is often mentioned, is all the accelerators which we provide, right? So here the vendor-agnostic concepts like here the integration do's and don'ts, the best practices, and so on, which can be easily be consumed. So that's also very well perceived. And last but not least, surprisingly, it's the whole organizational aspect of enterprise integration. So here we learned that this is a very important factor, right? To get up, to define the right processes and to introduce integration governance. And this is getting more and more important given the skills shortage we face as of today.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, for the ones of you who are looking for more information on the methodology, here with the deck, we have also some further information sources, so you can continue your journey with an overview. So here I would like to refer to the integration strategy paper. We have some videos about the methodology. If you would like to go into the details, we have here blog posts and an integration architecture guide, which is also based on the concepts of ISAM. And if you would like to get started, then I would recommend to check out here the Discovery Center mission, Get Started with Integration Assessment. So if you don't have an SAP Integration Suite subscription handy, you can also use the free BTP trial for that purpose, which for walking through this mission. And then we have also recently released a documentation about the methodology, which you can find at help.sap.com, where I have it here. And this is also nicely structured along here the steps which I described. And for every step, actually also it's detailed out how to perform it using actually the templates or integration assessment.
This is really perfect, because actually the other question I often hear is, so how can we actually start? And that is exactly what you just shared with all the
Tanya,
links you shared.
Any new posts in the chat?
Can you not hear me?
Tanya?
Katrin?
I cannot hear you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you have any further questions regarding the methodology, you can also feel free to drop me a mail. So really appreciate your time and joining this webinar. Looking forward to seeing you soon, and have a great day and goodbye.
Katrin, can you hear me now?